The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out at dawn to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with them for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. Going out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, "You too go into my vineyard, and I will give you what is just." So they went off. And he went out again around noon and around 3 o'clock and did likewise. Going out about 5 o'clock, he found others standing around and said to them, "Why do you stand here idle all day?" They answered, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You too go into my vineyard." When it was evening, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Summon the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and ending with the first." When those who had started about 5 o'clock came, each received the usual daily wage. So when the first came, they thought that they would receive more, but each of them also got the usual wage. And on receiving it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "These last ones worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who bore the day's burden and the heat." He said to one of them in reply, "My friend, I am not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go. What if I wish to give this last one the same as you? Or am I not free to do as I wish with my own money? Are you envious because I am generous? Thus the last will be first, and the first will be last." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is a great gospel passage. It's a great gospel passage because it confronts us, right? Each in our own place, here and now, 2,000 years on from when it was delivered, right? It still cuts to the core, because if we read that passage, we're likely to go, "That's unfair." That's not fair. And can I say why we think that's not fair? Because we think that we're the ones in the vineyard in the beginning. No? I know Ron he's not gonna bite today. Think about the parable of the prodigal son. I mean, that one bothers you too, right? Because you think you're the elder son. But if you're the elder son, you're just a son who refuses to party while everyone else is having a great time. But that is what's going on. I mean, the mercy of God is a party, and we're all invited into it. The tough thing is that, our thinking that we've earned anything that God gives us is what stops us at the door. Because it's a party of sheer generosity. Sheer generosity. So if there's anything in us that that isn't acknowledgement of the simple and great gift that God is, then all this other stuff that's going on in our hearts, resentments, bitterness, calculation, whatever, is not welcome there. It's not welcome in the party. So it is a challenge for us. Now, this is the parable is Jesus directing these words. We have to believe Jesus is directing these words to Peter. I mean, we don't have to believe that, but I think it makes most sense, right? Because Peter says to Jesus after he says what he says about rich people not inheriting the kingdom of God. Peter says to him, "We've given up everything and followed you. What will there be for us?" So, I mean, it seems now that's the previous chapter, but it seems as though this is Jesus speaking to his disciples. Now, then this is the challenge, then, right? This is the challenge because he's speaking to us. Jesus sometimes directs the parables to the scribes and the Pharisees, and we, because we like to play us versus them, then that's just them, and that doesn't have much bearing on what we're called to do and who we're called to be in the rest. But here, when Jesus is talking to his disciples, we have to allow this to challenge us through and through. It's interesting, I think, because this is a remarkable theological picture of the sort that, pages and pages of theological writing can't get to for us. This is who God is. And we have to grapple with it. This is who God is revealing himself to be, and we have to grapple with it. And every time we run into one of these parables where we go, "Ooh, I don't like that," we probably should stay there for a while and figure it out. Because this is Jesus, right? This is God in the flesh, revealing himself to us in human terms. And it's ours to accept. It's ours to accept who God is revealing himself to be, or reject God. There are not other options there. So we have to grapple with what's going on in the passage. And of course, look, the usual daily wage. God isn't, read the scriptures, God isn't into issuing contracts, right? He lives in covenants. And covenants is the giving of one person to another. And what does God give to us? To each and every one of us. What does he offer us? His whole self. What has to be given in return? Your whole self. I mean, you guys, we know that from, say, like the analogy of marriage, right? Like people say, oh, it's 50-50. It's not 50-50. We know that. It's 100-100. Actually, it's like 110-110. You gotta go beyond yourself. Both, each partner to the other. To go beyond yourself. This is the kind of relationship that we have with God. That's what I said. It's the analogy, because the real relationship, the real covenant, is with God. And we have to give our whole self to him. We actually have to go beyond ourselves in living for him. But that only comes with the recognition of the fact that he is going beyond himself to give to us. When we say God is love, it's what it means. God has no need of us. Right? God is infinitely perfect and blessed in himself. He doesn't need us to be satisfied, even interpersonally. He has fullness of interpersonal happiness, joy, and the rest. He creates us to share that with us. That needs to be the basis, the foundation of our entire life, is the love of God, that God is pouring himself out for us. Every moment of every day, he's pouring himself out in love for us. Will we respond? Or will we live by some other foundation? Right? Will we think, okay, well, the love of God is enough to sustain me. So Lord, yeah, I'll give myself entirely back to you in praise and in service, right? In worship and in mission. I give my whole self to you, and I'll reflect your goodness, your grandeur. I'll reflect your love to the world. And so find who I'm meant to be for God and for his world. Right? We can do that, or we can say, I don't really trust that. So I'm going to go about building my own security, my own identity, my own kingdom, some other way. That's dust. That's dust. And one of the ways that we do that is insisting that God gives us what we are owed. Right? So this is my once yearly reminder to you to say, if ever, if the pearly gates and all that kind of stuff if that actually happens, okay? Of course, some of that's mythological, right? You understand what I'm saying. But if there's ever a time that you find yourself face to face with God, and maybe it's here and now, before you die, or maybe it's when you die, but whatever it may be, if you ever find yourself face to face with God, please do not ask him for what you are owed. I'm serious. Please do not ask God for what you are owed or what you've earned. Please don't, okay? You understand what I'm saying. But if you understand what I'm saying, then you understand that our life is a gift from God. And that he loves us beyond and through our unworthiness. In spite of the fact that we cannot put God in our debt. It's simply impossible. We cannot put God in our debt. But he continues, even in the face of that, he continues to pour himself out lavishly upon us. That's where we are. And now in the face of that, what does it matter who gets what? What does it matter who gets? If you get everything, why does it matter that someone else gets everything? I mean, let me give my kind of closing and higher analogy on this, and then you can think about it as you go. I've always liked this. What I see in this passage is actually, I don't know, to raise it to like the sacramental level, is to say, I can see the people lining up, right? The guy who worked an hour and a few hours and whatever, the whole day and the rest. I can see them lining up to receive the denarius, the usual daily wage. And I think, you know what? This is the Eucharist. I shouldn't say the Eucharist. This is communion. This is communion time. And we're lining up here, no matter how much each has worked and toiled in the labor of God, right? Like in God's own vineyard. So striving to bring his love to life and all that. We're lining up here to receive our daily bread, the daily wage. When we do this, do we look around and say, not him. No, like, I earned this, right? I earned this, but not him. No, right? Do we do that? We say, no, you can't. Father Daniel, don't give communion to him. That guy's a Johnny-come-lately. He's hardly broken a sweat, in the vineyard here. We don't give. I've been here all my life. We do that? No. And this is why, my friends, there is the opportunity, negative, that the first can be last. Because if your time in the vineyard of God breeds resentment, if your time in the vineyard of God makes you think that you earn what God is giving you, you are last. You are last. But if you recognize that everything that you receive is a gift from Almighty God, right? If you recognize that your life and your existence, your participation in God's own life of love is itself sheer grace, sheer gift, then you're first. And it doesn't matter when you came in. It's simply irrelevant. It doesn't matter when you came in. The disciples came in first. They're closest to Jesus. But that's where they have to stay. And in order to stay closest to Jesus, they have to recognize that everything they have is gift. Everything they have. And first and foremost, my friends, mercy. Who of us doesn't need mercy? But are we out and eager to extend it to everyone? We got a lot to do, right? But this is it. This is it. This is who our God is. And he's generous. And it's ours to not become envious because of God's generosity. In fact, we want everybody to experience the mercy that we've come to experience in him. We want everybody to tap into his life of love so that they can live just as we're called to live as children of God, with a great freedom, the great love and joy and peace and all the rest that comes with that blessed life.